as evidenced by calling for the immediate shutdown of Line 5, which poses a risk to our Great Lakes, our wildlife, our natural resources, and our way of life. I am eagerly looking forward to beginning next year by applying what I've learned these past 2 years to bring even more of our tax dollars back to Northeast Michigan while tackling the issues important to all of us. In closing, if you have specific questions for me, Jesse Osmer from my team will be at the table outside the forum at the conclusion of the event. And I talked to Jesse. Jesse, raise your hand, just so if you have questions, that's the gentleman to look for after. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope that I can count on your vote on November 6th. Thank you, Sue Allor, your state representative.
Hello, welcome. Thank you. Ms. Greene, would you please provide us with your opening statement? 90 seconds for an opening statement.
90 seconds, I get 90 seconds. So thank you, I will brief. I'm really excited to look out and see a lot of familiar faces. So thank you for coming and being part of this process. I moved to Alpena 23 years ago and made it my home because of the community that's here and the resources and the beautiful surroundings that we have. And the community has been wonderful. What you all do to volunteer your time and your money to make our area as good as it can be is commendable. And I'm running and I care about our community, and that's why I'm running, so that I can do the same thing for us in Lansing, because we deserve some attention. We deserve our resources back here to Northeast Michigan. I attended Michigan State University, where I obtained my business degree, and went on to law school at Wayne State University. I've been an attorney for 28 years. I have my own business here where I have 2 employees and a work-study student, so it's nice to have a young person in the office. And as an attorney for the last 28 years, I've had to apply the law in many different ways. I understand it. I know that we have a lot of vague and confusing laws. Sometimes they're made intentionally that way. And it's time that we have some clarity in Lansing. We have some consistency with our laws. So another reason that I'm running. As a general civil attorney, I've represented a lot of individuals. I do a lot of mediation as a result, and I understand how important it is to negotiate and reach resolutions for people. And I can do that for you in Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a lot of questions.
All right, good.
Education is key for the children of the 106th district to compete in an increasingly technical workplace. Do you support charter schools? If so, what is the data supporting this?
I do not support using public funds for charter schools. We have underfunded public schools for many years now, and we can see now the results of that with our K-12 program being in the lower level of all of the states, where we used to excel. So part of that reasoning is because our funding has changed dramatically. And with the transfer of over $1 billion a year to charter schools, we have run out of sufficient funding to take care of our K-12 schools, our public schools that we're mandated to take care of so that everybody can have a fair shot at an education. So I do not support using public funds for private schools or charter schools. And we need to get back to using those funds appropriately, and that's why I want to be in Lansing. Education is a big part of my platform, and we need to make sure that we take care of our children.
Thank you. Do Americans have a right to health care? How would you pay for it?
I think it is a human right. I think we have to look at it as a right that we all have, because it's a cost that we're paying anyway for everybody. It's in some way or another, whether it's through Medicare, Medicaid, or the fact that families have to take care of each other because there's no other funds available. So it is a human right that we have to look at as a way to fund. And it's not just at the state level, however, this is a national level. This is something that we have to look at statewide, federal, our government has to come in and look at what type of healthcare system we need, whether it's expanding Medicare or providing other advantages, setting rates so that you don't pay $100 for a CT scan in one place and $1,000 in another place. Why are these rates and charges different? And that's a big problem that we have, is that the actual charges exceed what is rational. And I'd like to see some consistency in that, so we know when we go to the hospital what we're going to be paying for.
Thanks. What can be done to encourage more recycling?
Encourage? That's a tough question. I think I know who may have asked it. But encouraging recycling is, I think we have to provide more access to encourage it. We have to make it easy. If it's hard, it's not going to be done. If we have a place where we can turn in our appliances and our dangerous liquids, and we can only do it once a year, and the line is, so long that people just get discouraged and they leave, we're not going to be able to encourage recycling. So we have to make it accessible and easy.
What do you think should be done about voting rights?
If you're talking about the proposals on the ballot, I support them. I think that Proposal 3 related to providing better access to the ballot is very important, that we need to have access. We need to have the ability to choose to vote absentee without having to have a reason for it. Why not? Why not have a better opportunity to review a ballot on your table and in a situation where you can review your candidates without having to rush? Why not have easier access so that those who want to vote and are legally able to vote get that opportunity? So I believe that those proposals do provide that opportunity. When it comes to the issue of redistricting, I do believe that that proposal is strong as well. If you continue to let our legislators, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, choose the district lines, you're going to continue to find this skewed district, like we have in District 106 for our Senate in particular, where it's skewed so that the vote goes a certain way for a certain party. And to allow a group of individuals that are not as vested in the way the lines are going to be drawn, other than fairly, is the way to go. Let our community decide those lines, and I think we'll have more fair results at the election vote.
Thank you. Our two political parties are so divided. How can you use your skills to reach compromise?
I do that every day with clients and in court. So I have been a mediator for many years. As a mediator, you have to find common solutions, common grounds between people who are ready to tear each other apart in very personal matters pertaining to custody or divorce or a business breakup, even families in probate matters where they're disputing their inheritance. So there's a lot of different things that I do as a mediator already, and I find that if you can work to common solutions where you respectfully listen to each other and address really what the solution should be, and not just tear each other apart because you've got these lines you've drawn in the sand, you can actually reach agreements. Part of that is getting a fair representation in the House so that people are willing to sit down and talk. When you have it so skewed that there isn't fair representation or equal representation between the parties, it's more difficult because someone in power doesn't necessarily want to make those changes. But part of it is being able to understand that, negotiate it, and work towards a solution, a compromise. We've kind of made compromise ugly, and it's not ugly. It's how we move forward in government.
Thank you. There has been conflicting information on the candidates and whether they are pro-life or pro-choice. Could to clarify your stance?
Yeah, my stance is that this is a very private matter for each family to make, so I leave it to the individuals to choose. I think it's very difficult to make a decision as to whether to have an abortion or a child if you're struggling with the reasons behind it, and I don't feel comfortable making that decision for somebody. I do feel that we've had a lot of change since the 1980s, a lot of change where the rates of abortion have been reduced dramatically, and that's because of education, and that's because of options that people have now that they didn't have before. So if we continue to stress education and options and choice, I think you'll continue to see those rates go down. I certainly want to see them go down. I don't think anyone really wants to have abortion as the only choice that they have. So I think it's a matter of providing those options, but still allowing people to make the decision for themselves.
Thank you. What part of our infrastructure needs to be addressed first, and what would you do about this issue?
Our infrastructure, I sometimes have been knocking on doors and people tell me that they think our roads aren't that bad. I don't always agree with that, but I do get a consensus that our bridges are failing and that we need to focus on working on the bridges. For me now, in light of what's happening in Oscoda and even here in Alpena with the PFAS contamination, one of our biggest issues and most expensive issues is working on water and providing safe, clean water for everybody, drinking water. And that means providing municipal water to those areas where people have well water that's contaminated. And right now that's not being sufficiently handled, and it needs to be a priority. Nobody should have poor drinking water. We shouldn't have to worry about turning on that faucet and wondering if it's safe. So for me, that needs to be a priority.
Thank you. What skills will you bring to the legislature in Lansing? That's somewhat redundant.
Well, it does help, I think, for someone who's going to be supporting and drafting and sponsoring laws to actually know what they mean and what their implications are. I've had 28 years of having to apply it. I know that there's many laws that are insufficient and vague and need tweaking. There's also a lot of laws that are unnecessary. So part of it is working in that field and being able to determine what the long-term effect might be on a particular law. So sometimes it appears to me we act fast. We got to do something. There's an emergency situation. Let's pass a law. And nobody really thinks about what that law might be 10 years from now, how that might affect us. And we need to look at the long-term effect of our law. In addition, as I discussed, as a mediator, being able to understand and discuss opposing views and not take it personally, being able to cross lines and work on agreements that will be for the benefit of Northeast Michigan so that we can have some of the resources we need to succeed. That's a skill that I would bring to Lansing.
Thank you. Is clean water a right? If not, why? Is clean air a right? If not, why?
Well, based on my last couple of answers, yes, I believe it is a right. Again, another human right. Without clean water, what do we have? Without safe drinking water. It should be a national standard that we have clean water everywhere we go in the United States so that you know that you can open up a faucet and drink from it if you want to. And we don't have that. We don't have that in Michigan. We don't even have it here in Alpena. So yes, I think we need clean water standards, and we have a right to clean water. We have had a bill that's been lagging in the House of Representatives now for over 265 days to set some clean water standards. They haven't even opened it up for discussion. And yet we have contamination throughout District 106. So to not even open it up for discussion so that we can try to reach a consensus. Maybe the bill is too strict. They want to set levels at 5 parts per trillion for PFAS. But there ought to be discussion about it. Right now, they're not even discussing it. We need clean water, we need it now. There shouldn't be this game playing where it just sits on a table somewhere without discussion. And the same is for clean air.
Thank you. We have time for one more. Do you think individual communities should be able to make local decisions to protect their own resources?
Yes, so that's a interesting question because we've had a government in place that tends to think that less government's better, yet they've been removing the power of local government to make decisions about local matters. And we need to get back to allowing our local governments to handle matters that are important to you. Whether you think plastic bags should be banned in your community, that ought to be a local decision, and it's not. Whether you think, and this isn't necessarily local control, but well, this is the use of assessors. They're changing the law to reduce the ability of using local assessors in your community. Those people who know your land, that know what you, the values really are going to be eventually removed from being able to be your local assessor because they don't have the qualifications that the state now wants to set. Our state also, in a different way, is encouraging removal of state control over matters by saying we don't need to set water levels or standards, we'll just use the federal government standards. Well, those standards are not as strong as ours, and our duty is to Michigan. It's to our Great Lakes, and if we just let someone else set those standards, we're giving up our rights to set those ourselves. We've already allowed mining companies to expand their rights without getting proper permits. There's a lot we should be doing to protect our rights.
Thank you. Now, we will have your closing statement. 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I'm running for state representative because we need change, and I'm counting on you to agree with me on that. The past 8 years has shown us that government, the harm our government can do if it's not being held accountable. So do you like that education of our children is underfunded by $1 billion going to charter schools? Do you like high insurance and prescription costs? Do you like that our state is weakening our environmental standards? Do you like that we have no clean drinking water standards so that you have to question whether your water's clean when you turn on that faucet? Do you like that our government has taken no positive steps to shut down Line 5? It needs to be shut down. Do you like that our government has taxed our pensions while at the same time reducing business taxes by $2 billion? I don't like it. I don't think my clients like it. I know my friends don't like it. And that's why I'm running, because I know that together we can do something different and we can do it better. So let's stand up and make a point to our government that Northeast Michigan counts. And please vote me in as your next state representative.
Thank you very much. Next, we will have the Alpena probate judge, Grace, Denise Burke, and Thomas LaCrosse. Please come up. We'll get settled in. It'll take us a couple minutes if anybody needs a drink of water.
Yes, I do.